Diane. So I have a burning question.
Sure, Nikki, what's that?
Well, I've always wondered, does learning happen differently in online and blended learning environments?
Great question, Nikki. I think what you mean by that is does learning happen differently in online and blending learning environments compared with face-to-face learning models? Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, learning is learning. It can happen anytime, in any space, in any place, and at any pace. But it seems like the 21st century learner is going to be better served in an online environment, and more specifically, a blended learning model. You're an experienced teacher. What do you think?
Well, let's leverage technology a bit and think this through. It's important to first define face-to-face, online, and blended learning. So iGlossary defines face-to-face as in-person learning. It is any form of instructional interaction that occurs in person and in real time between teachers and students or among colleagues and peers. Before the advent of audio, video, and internet technologies that allowed people to interact from different locations and at different times, all instructional interactions occurred by necessity in the same place and at the same time. Online learning can also be asynchronous. Online learning is a general term used to describe learning in an online format. Asynchronous means education, instruction, and learning that do not occur in the same place or at the same time. Students in asynchronous learning models can learn from pre-recorded video lessons or game-based learning tasks that students complete on their own. This learning is not delivered in real time, yet asynchronous learning may also encompass a wide variety of instructional interactions, including email exchanges between teachers, online discussion boards, and course management systems that organize instructional materials and correspondence, among many other possible variations.
Very interesting, Diane. But is asynchronous the only way that online learning can be delivered? It seems that this model would only be successful for intrinsically motivated students. What about learners who need an online format but aren't as disciplined?
You're full of great questions, Nikki. Let's continue and take a peek at another way online learning might be delivered. Digital and online learning experiences can also be synchronous. Students might participate in educational video conferences, interactive webinars, chat-based online discussions, and lectures that are broadcast at the same time they are given. These are all forms of synchronous learning, where learners share ideas, listen to one another, and engage with the learning content at the same time and in a live experience. In both synchronous and asynchronous online learning that I'm speaking of here, a teacher or facilitator is running the show. Students are guided through their learning in order to meet common educational goals.
I think most of my students would do much better in a synchronous online environment, but I still really value that face time with my students. I think body language, expressions, and live social interactions are so important for optimal learning. Too bad we couldn't have the best of both worlds.
Actually, Nikki, we can. 21st century learners are experiencing a learning model unlike any other. It's called blended learning. Check it out. The term blended learning is generally applied to the practice of using both online and in-person learning experiences when teaching students. In a blended learning course, for example, students might attend a class taught by a teacher in a traditional classroom setting, while also independently completing online components of the course outside of the classroom. In some cases, students may work independently on online lessons, projects, and assignments at home or elsewhere, only periodically meeting with teachers to review their learning progress, discuss their work, ask questions, or receive assistance with difficult concepts. In other cases, students may spend their entire day in a traditional school building, but they will spend more time working online and independently than they do receiving instruction from a teacher. The potential variations are as diverse as the learners themselves.
So what's it all mean?
Well, these models of learning are simply the pedagogy or vehicle to reach a learning goal. All models can be very effective. The key, however, is the learner. Let's consider this thought. The learner is the core of any learning situation. Therefore, they must be the focus of the learning. It's not as simple as asking whether or not learning takes place differently in online and blended environments. Rather, if we agree that learning is the process of gaining new information and assimilating it into previous experiences to form understanding, then learning itself does not change, but the needs of the learner do.
So what you're saying is blended and online learning models are simply vehicles that may open the door to learning, just as a face-to-face teacher guides students in their learning journey. However, if we are questioning the depth or breadth of a student's possible learning, then it seems to me that learning may be more rich, more individualized, and provide learners with a greater array of valuable resources from which to gain new understanding when learning in a blended format.
So you see, it's really a question of what's best for the learner.
This makes a lot of sense, Diane. I'll bet some of the gurus in the education industry can clarify these ideas even more.